welcome you all to the Pneuma Company Show.
Woo! Amen.
Amen.
And this segment is called States of the Nation.
Yes! Thank you, Holy Spirit.
And this is brought to you and powered by the person of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Spirit.
Thank you, sweet Holy Spirit. Amen.
I would also like to thank our highly esteemed Papa Joshua and Gila.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
And we also want to thank our highly esteemed Mama Yemisi Joshua and
Woo!
Gila. I want to say, Mama and Papa, we love you. We love
Yes,
you so
we
much.
love you, Mama and Papa.
We also want to
Amen.
thank our highly esteemed Prophet O.C. King. The
Woo!
servants of the
Yes.
We
May the Lord continue
Love
to
you,
bless you all and take you
Amen.
higher in the Holy Ghost.
Amen. Amen.
See, in this segment, State of the Nation, I will be your host today. My name is Pastor Christian.
Woo! Yes, Pastor. You look good today.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And to my left, we want to welcome our co-host, Sister Beauty.
Woo!
We're wearing grace to see her
Glory
name
and all
befits her.
praise.
Amen.
And to my right, we want to welcome highly esteemed Prophet Sophie.
Woo!
All grace.
Amen.
So we thank you all for joining us here at State of the Nation, and we want to kind of go deeper into what we discussed last week.
Yes, definitely highly
We
esteemed.
want to discuss what disgusting thing did occur. Right? We're talking
yes,
about
sir.
the Parkland shooting,
Yes.
where 17 students were unfortunately killed
Killed.
by a deranged shooter.
Mhm.
And this week we saw town hall meetings on Wednesday with
Yes.
Senator Marco Rubio. Even last night, last evening, the president invited many people from the high school and even from earlier tragedies for an information session to kind of brainstorm and see what needs to be done. I'd like to know your take, Sister Beauty, on some of the things that the president discussed or any of the town halls that you did hear of this week.
Wow, what a privilege to come back to this topic.
Amen.
Honestly speaking, one thing our president said that I really, liked was when he brought the topic of teachers actually having their own guns to school.
So you liked that our
Actually
president.
do.
So you mean that our president
Yes.
brought in students who just witnessed their classmates, at least 17, killed, slaughtered with an assault rifle, and now you're saying you like the fact that the president said, you know what, the teachers should be armed.
Yes, I
And
do
that's
like
the way.
that.
That's the way of them protecting.
No, I like
Prophet
that.
Sophie, Prophet Sophie, go ahead.
I beg to differ. I completely disagree
Why?
on that statement.
Why?
First and foremost, what the president even stated is that he wanted to bring a solution to what was going on as far as the gun violence in America.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that this is not going to help the situation at all by
So what will help?
by arming these teachers
what will really help
by
them?
arming these teachers in the classroom
Yes, for
with
protection.
students with guns.
Yes.
Well, Prophet Sophie did. Donald Trump did say. President Donald Trump did say that
They will go
it is
through
a-
some
it is
trainings.
a gun-free school zone, which in a sense is a signal that someone can walk in with bullets and no bullets will fire back, in a sense, right? That's not a good signal to send. Rather, we do know that police stations are not gun-free zones. We know like places that are not gun-free zones, someone who wants to attack will think twice, right?
But
So in a
think
sense,
about what this message and what this is actually sending out to the American people, even our children in today's society.
What
We're
message?
trying to keep them away from violence, but yet we're exposing them to guns and firearms
But
in
the
the
children
classroom.
will not have, they don't have to know that the
How-
teachers have
But it
guns.
was a public
It was
statement
made
made to the
public.
Yes,
nation
but
that
what other
these
so- honestly,
students
what other
and these
solution can
teachers
be-
will be
what other
hired
solution can
to
be
have
brought,
guns.
though?
And another thing that baffled me by what the president said is, we'll give the teachers bonuses, whoever wants to carry these firearms.
They go into training.
Does that make any
They will go
sense?
through some trainings, get their licenses. So it's not like this teachers can just go to a regular shop and buy the guns. They
Okay.
actually will go through some trainings, get license to have the gun for
Okay,
protection.
my question to you is, what happens when a student is having a disagreement with the teacher and happens to stumble upon this firearm and then shoots up the classroom?
No, that's why the schools needs to create some type of save with only the teacher having the code to that saving?
What if the student ends up finding
But
out that?
one moment, ladies,
They
don't mind.
It doesn't make any
You don't mind,
sense.
ladies.
It
Let's
makes
kind
perfect
of take it to an increased dimension here. We did also remember that the president was tweeting.
Yes,
right?
he tweeted.
You know, he was focusing when this tragedy happened. He tweeted that there should be an increased restriction on the actual background check system. Right?
Yes.
Now, some people did ask last week what were the facts, because there seems to be a difference between what was said and what was actually done, right? So we did see the reports that was released by the LA Times, which shows the difference between what Donald Trump said and tweeted and what the actual facts were, right? And we want to kind of get your take so far. So what he said was we need to increase the restrictions on background checks. But when we've seen what his administration has done in the past year, they have cut the funding for the background check systems, and in addition to that, they have narrowed the search for background checks. And when someone narrows the search criteria on a background check, that means that there's less categories to prevent one from getting access to guns, which means that people are more available, right? And when you look at the history of gun purchases, just last week, there was reports that a 20-year-old was able to buy an AR-15 with an expired ID within 5 minutes, right? So these are the facts of what has been done versus what he has said. Sister Beauty, if you're agreeing with what the president said, do you really have any confidence that he's going to follow through with any of this?
I really believe he will. You know why?
Why?
Because this statement was made way back before the incident happened. So now that he's actually aware of what really occurred, I feel like action will be taken.
Okay, cross over.
I completely disagree. The president has made so many empty promises of what he actually wants to do in this nation.
Good point.
And the truth of the matter is a lot of those promises have fallen through the cracks.
Yes, because I feel like he doesn't have
Nothing
people
has-
backing him up. Honestly, it's easy to say something and, you know, not having no support when you say it.
I think support's a good. I'm glad you brought that point. Especially support backup. You know, a lot of presidents, if you look at even from a scriptural standpoint, usually the backups to leaders are their prophets. They
Exactly.
are their ministers. A lot of, you know, even though Americans you begin to wonder who really is backing up the president of the United States. Who is
But
backing
the
up
truth
these
of the
leaders?
matter is, highly esteemed, they look for the backup as far as when you mention the ministers. Even when you look at our late Billy Graham, who just recently died at the age of 99, he was known to actually be a prophet to many presidents of the United States of
Yeah,
America.
sure.
But the truth of the matter is, even when you look at the likes of Billy Graham and when they actually seeked his counsel, it was only when there was a time in trouble, when they were in trouble or in need.
True. Well,
It's true, but I
this
think
is definitely why we definitely thank and we're so grateful even for our Papa here at Champions General Assembly,
Yeah,
Papa
amen.
Joshua
Thank you,
and Gila. We definitely celebrate the grace upon his life, because this is someone where in the lessons, in the sermons, in the Sunday services, you see presidents of nations in attendance.
Yes.
Right? These are people
What a
they're not waiting
privilege.
for tragedies.
Yes.
And you know, it kind of goes further to show that our politicians, our leaders, should really heed to the counsel of our prophet. You know, they should heed to the counsel of what the Lord has to say. This was,
Definitely.
you know, when you look at the likes of, even in the Bible, the king at the time, prior to them going into captivity to Babylon, you know, Prophet Jeremiah was talking to the king, was telling him, and rather he was just shredding the counsel into pieces, right? Which now brought to his death, which brought to his demise. So, you know, throughout all this, many of us are focusing on the tragedies of the children, but sometimes one should be focused on the leader as well, because lacking the counsel and lacking the guide and heeding to the word of the prophet really can be, you know, the result of their destruction as well.
And one thing that our leaders in the United States of America, in this country, fail to realize is that even our politicians everything happens spiritually first before it begins to manifest physically. So we live in a spiritual world.
True.
So even when you mention our highly esteemed Papa even mentioning these prophecies, that just goes to show that the truth of the matter is everybody has a prophet, either a prophet of God or a prophet of Satan.
Wow.
Amen. That's true. That's absolutely true. But what if, like, for example, Donald Trump? He says he's a Christian, yes, but
Yeah.
he's a babe in Christian. He's a babe. So how can he get to that point to say, okay, let me heed to the voice of a prophet? Because it's easy to say, let's heed to the voice of a prophet when, like, you're spiritually mature. But what if somebody is just new into Christianity and he's new to
But
all of this?
obviously-
What is his assurance to say, okay, these things that they are saying is actually true?
Well,
So let me
Just
follow.
to even tap into what you said, but Donald Trump had enough sense to seek counsel of many pastors and
Yeah.
highly esteemed ministers of the Almighty
Good point.
for the election to pray for
He
him.
did kneel down.
So
In addition to that, we love to say that, likes of Daniel, this was someone who was receiving and welcoming angels before him, messengers of God before him. Meanwhile, he never had the skill to understand. Right? So if one is a babe in Christ, if one doesn't have the skill of even understanding, that does not mean you cannot heed the counsel of a prophet.
Exactly.
Someone like Lot made blunders. I mean, when you disassociate yourself from your source, which is Abraham, yet he still had the sense to welcome angels into his midst.
Exactly.
So no matter what your Christian standing is,
He
you
had
should
some
always
type
have the
of
sense
sense.
to heed the word of the Lord, at least
Exactly.
sometimes.
So basically, he has to follow blind.
God said he gave some apostles, he gave some prophets, he gave some evangelists, he gave some pastors, he gave some teachers. So the point is that knowing who God is, he gave someone to Donald Trump. In fact, he gave us to Donald Trump. Here at Champions Royal Assembly, how do you see Papa Joshua? I feel like he's a prophet of the world. Right? But it's just a further inclination now to that our politicians, those who are leaders, should really heed the voice of the Lord. They should always be conscious and remember how they even got here, because it was God who even gave them that promotion. It was God who gave them that election by grace. So I guess we're kind of leaving on that note. But Professor Sophie, is there anything else you'd like to add in?
One thing that I can say is that I completely stand by on what I stand for as far as having guns in the school and in the classroom is not the solution. In all actuality, for me, I think that would even promote more gun violence by even the students having access in every single classroom with a gun. I know for a fact that this is definitely not the solution, and like you just mentioned, we definitely need more spiritual counsel, and our politicians and our leaders of the nation need to know that despite of what's going on and what they actually see, everything is manifested spiritually first before it manifests physically. So we're definitely in a spirit-driven world, and I feel like our leaders need to know and be aware of that.
Amen.
Amen.
Closing
I
remarks?
still stand by teachers should be able to, have guns for protection. But even as principality of the Champions Royal Assembly, USA, we need to pray for our president.
Definitely.
We need to pray for him, and we need to ask that the Almighty will grant him understanding in these things to actually rule over us,
That for sure.
Definitely.
And that should actually be a focus. For us as Christians, we should also pray for our nation. We should pray for our leaders. We should even pray that our ministers have boldness to reveal these mysteries to the leaders. I'm surprised that there is with that prophets. There was a time where Prophet Samuel was afraid to even do the work of the Lord because he felt that King Saul would kill him. There's a way that prophets can even be fear of their own life, right? So we should pray that the Lord grants our ministers boldness, our leaders boldness. You see, and I guess we'll close here on this note, and we'll perhaps dive deeper or even address some more topics next week. Blessed, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prophet Sophie. My name is Pastor Christian. You've been watching State of the Nation. This is the Pneuma Company Show. Amen.